you could see that the NBA owners who pretty much control the commissioner, right? Who pretty much says, hey, this is what we want for the league. They're like, look, we need to get into this international market. We need to expand because at some point, we're at a point where we're in a few years, we're going to be paying NBA players $75, $85 million a year to play basketball. At some point, it's going to happen. And a lot of teams, especially people who may not want to spend that money because these owners are greedy. Look, many owners could afford it, of course. But trust me, when you're at a point where you have 3-4 guys on your roster making $80 million a year, that shit is going to, and then the luxury tax, and then the second cap, and the second apron, or whatever that other shit they got called. There is a limit that these owners are probably willing to take or not take within the American market. So they told that, look, we got to figure out a way to expand this. So one of the ideas, it looks like, that Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, says that NBA teams could possibly face off against NBA Europe teams, right? Even in the playoffs. So they're going to have some NBA Europe going on with teams that are contracted, NBA teams that are part of the European market. And he says, here's a quote from the commissioner, say, you possibly could see teams coming into our playoffs, top seeds from other leagues. When I think of the flight from New York to LA, for example, there's no reason if we had 4 teams in Europe, you couldn't travel, play the Knicks or Nets, travel to London, play 3-4 times in Europe, come back home. So I think it's very doable in our league. So that's what the commissioner wants done. He wants NBA teams to go play in London and Europe against the NBA Europe teams, I guess. There's going to be like some, Now, remember, the National Basketball Association is supposed to be the highest league amongst the professional male basketball leagues out of the men's league. The WNBA for the women, the NBA for the men, right? The highest leagues, right? Many players that don't make NBA rosters end up playing overseas in lesser leagues, lower leagues. Now the gap, of course, has closed in within the years since, the Dream Team era, right? A lot of NBA players, a lot of foreign players have now played in the NBA, but let's not forget why those foreign players have become good NBA players when they got to the NBA, even as they came from overseas. It's because the investments of the NBA into those markets, right? With the training and just the money that they poured into those overseas market, and now they're looking for a return on their investment. Hey, we spent all this money over there. Now we need to come in and we need you guys. We need some games. We need to make that money back. Right? This is what the NBA was doing. They were planting their seed for years. And a lot of foreign players have made their bones in the NBA coming from overseas, and they developed in the NBA though. Most of them developed on American soil. So I know a lot of people like to say, like you hear people argue about many foreign players in the NBA today that are better than many of the American players. And yes, that's true. But let's not forget that the game of basketball is perfected. The game of basketball in America is still king, because you go all the way back to when those foreign players, and I'm not trying to knock the foreign guys, because I love the foreign players. I like how they play. I like their styles. But the NBA game is still the NBA. The game is still going to be played in the way of American basketball. Yes, we know the NBA has shifted, the league has shifted, but the product has went to shit. Because the NBA is not meant to be a European game. The European got their game. It's great. It's for them. But once the NBA tried to emulate that in America, the game has turned to shit, right? Nothing but 50 million 3-point shots, all type of stuff. The NBA was at its best when it had back to the basket guys or the combination of D and 3 guys, all around NBA game, great point guard play. Now you got guys shooting 53s, dribbling for 3 hours, which is not part of Europe, of course. That's not the European part of it. That's still an American game that's been remixed, right? Even though, that's like street ball. They have introduced a street ball element to the NBA, which is also bad in my opinion. But guys dribbling 50 million times and that type of stuff. There's a lot of soft basketball being played, and that soft basketball has definitely been influenced by the game from international play. So I don't like what they're doing here. I don't think this is from a pure basketball standpoint. I don't like it. Obviously, if I was an owner of the team or NBA and I'm making billions of dollars, of course I love it because you get to expand the market. So there's two different sides here. But I don't know if this improves the game. It just adds more, suspense, I guess. So what happens if, during the playoffs, is there going to be a separate tournament for like world champions, or will the NBA finals champ still have their separate league? Like, will there be two separate playoffs? Because like I said, the international teams, the international leagues are considered lower level. So if an NBA team wins a title against a European team, does that count as a NBA title? Considering like all time, right? And I don't know. I just think that they're messing with the history of the game. When you consider, this is why, in my opinion, no player today in today's NBA could ever be on a top 10 all-time ranking list of any position. The only guy that can make that you could say playing right now, presently, would probably be LeBron, because he played across different plateaus of era since like the early 2000s, right? That's the only guy. But every other player that's playing under this mess of trash basketball and all these different rules and all these different things when it comes to different titles and this and that, like they introducing in-season tournaments, and then they're just adding more stuff so these guys could coming out with more accolades. So of course you can't compare a guy today from back then, because you guys got 50 million awards, right? Back then they wasn't even counting blocks and steals and different stats. They didn't have all NBA third teams and all these different awards. It's almost like everybody gets an award era. This is the everybody gets a trophy era of sports. So you can't tell me that these guys are as great or better than the previous era when you knew that there were some great players back then that did not get recognized because it was only a few spots to be called great. The Hall of Fame used to be about the best of the best. Now it's the Hall of Very Good. They've lowered the standards. They're letting everybody into the Hall of Fame now, right? Because they want to beef up LeBron's GOAT theory. Oh, look how many Hall of Famers LeBron beat. That's the only reason why they letting everybody in. He played in an era with all these Hall of Famers. They're great scorers. They're gonna let everybody in. Trust me when I tell you. You're gonna see. They just let Carmelo in. I'm not saying Carmelo is or is not a Hall of Famer. I'm not here to debate any of this. But what I'm saying is, you're gonna see Joe Johnson probably get in at some point. Many of these guys that played in this LeBron era, they're all gonna be Hall of Famers, because they're going to let them all in. And that's how they're going to define LeBron as being the GOAT. That's how they're going to do it. That's how they're going to do it. Sadly enough, it's not going to work. But that's how they're gonna do it. They're gonna try to do it. That's what they did with the 75 list, and that's what they're gonna do going forward with this whole everybody's in the hall. And they come up with all these different reasons why. Oh, the guy's in the hall because he saved someone from getting hit by a car. He got an award. They're gonna come up with all these reasons why, right? And if somebody's able to do something great that transforms the league internationally, like how like Yao Ming did. Yao Ming's in the Hall of Fame. A lot of it, I mean, Yao Ming was a good player for a very short period of time, but was he Hall of Fame good, right? But he's obviously got in there because of what he did for the market in his country. That played a huge role of him getting into the Hall of Fame. Yao Ming was a very good player. Injuries, very good, but what he meant to the game of basketball for that side of the country puts him in the Hall of Fame. He made a huge contribution. So that you don't have an issue with that. You're not arguing that. But the guys who are putting up a bunch of empty stats in an era of bad basketball will now argue to get into the Hall of Fame because they have more threes. Like I think Draymond Green has more threes than Larry Bird. And I'm not saying obviously Draymond will probably get into the Hall of Fame because of the winning he did in a very weak era of basketball. But Draymond Green, I think I believe he has more threes than Larry Bird. But everyone knows that Larry Bird is a way better three-point shooter than Draymond Green. But this is how people will use these statistics and try to say a guy's better than the next. And you see that now with a lot of these young basketball fans. They're telling you that a guy is better because they have more points. Or they do these comparisons, these side-by-sides. Look at this guy. He has this amount of points. Or he has these many threes. He's better. And it's like, no. That's not true. He's not better. Right? He's not better. And so I don't know. I just think let's see what the people are saying in the comments about this Adam Silver NBA teams facing off against NBA Europe. Let's see what the people are saying because the people always got stuff to say, right? The people will say what they got to say. So let's go down the comments. Now, here goes one person. Someone says, find a way to replace the in-season tournament with this. So they want to get rid of the in-season tournament and replace it with this. You know, okay, that seems to be that could be a solid take there. Here's another person. I'm not trying to watch my Knicks. I'm not trying to watch my Knicks play the Guangdong Tigers. Oh man, wait. The Guangdong Tigers. Oh my god. Woo. Oh man, I got 84,000 too. Everybody was loving that shit. Guangdong Tigers. Oh man. Shout out to the Guangdong Tigers. I think they call are they Guangdong Tigers or the Shanghai Sharks? I guess maybe it's a parody, I don't know. I mean, I don't think they're gonna be playing against those guys though. That league is probably the bottom league of all the professional men's sports league, basketball leagues. If they play against teams like the Shanghai Sharks and that type of shit, man, the NBA is gonna be ruined. You can never take another title serious again. Could you imagine the NBA Finals, the Shanghai Sharks versus the fucking Oklahoma City Thunder or the LA Lakers or whatever? I just don't see that happening. Here's some more. Bro really ruined the NBA with the reaction GIF. Is it GIF or GIF? I don't know. Things Adam Silver cares about. Turning the NBA turning the game into soccer, the NBA Cup, All-Star Game gimmicks, LGBT rights, more women in the NBA, things Adam Silver doesn't care about. The quality of the game itself, presentation of NBA playoff games, and NBA fans. I don't know. I think that what does the NBA and LGBT people have to do with this? I feel like the women and LGBT people just took a stray from this guy for no reason. Now the other three, that's on brand with the NBA, but the last two, I don't know. I guess he was trying to find more things to add to make a point. This dude is about to ruin the sport I love. So the reaction is not great here, people. Prize Pick even tweeted, "What happened to the game I love?" That's the Mark Jackson meme. NBA about to be a rich person's league in the next 10 years. You're not going to see no blue collar folks at the games. True. Other woke nonsense. I don't understand that meme. That makes no sense. That's a stupid meme, actually. Hawks versus Shanghai Sharks 2031 NBA Finals. Oh my God, that's true. What is the obsession with having European teams in American sports? And one, it makes zero sense. Two, there's zero chance the Premium League or Champion Leagues would even bring in American teams. Of course they won't. This clown ruined the league catering to Diva LeBron. Now he's desperate with his ridiculous ideas to try to save it. A Game 7 playoff game versus the G-Dong Tigers at 8 a.m. Eastern sounds absolutely Game 7. Oh my God. Dude, nobody likes this idea. Does basketball even have that much international appeal in Europe to be profitable? I would agree if he launched another team in Canada, but Europe is a big test. I mean, somebody's telling them it is because they are considered, because you got to remember the TV contracts on this could be crazy. There might be a market of this, right? We talk if they able to tap into the European market with some NBA appeal, it could potentially drive up future TV contracts, right? Because remember, the NBA Finals, a lot of these leagues they're already like their biggest games, right? And I don't know if this works in regular season mode, but we know like in the playoffs and in like the championship games, they have the games in like many different languages. I remember this was way back. I remember way back when NBA was on NBC, they had like the little I believe it was during the NBA Finals, they would have like the media. They used to show the media people that would do the games, like the commentators, and it was all in like different languages. So there is definitely a market outside the US for NBA basketball, at least for the big games. Now, will it work in a regular season? I guess they're gonna try to test that, but make no mistake about it, playoff NBA basketball, at least at that point in time, NBA Finals at least, they do it in different languages. So why not try to? They probably thinking, well, since we have a different language of NBA final commentary and broadcast, right? Why not see if we can expand? Now, will it work? I don't know, but they believe it will work. They must know something. What is this man talking about? This is why we have the Olympics. Nobody wants to see the Knicks versus Shanghai Sharks. Silver needs to be fired. Yeah, who cares about the crazy time changes and visa issues that could potentially cause problems? You don't care that America will miss most of the games played at wee hours in the morning or evening? Hell, you already said the NBA is a highlight league, so people that can't afford to pay the ridiculous prices to watch NBA games can just watch highlights for free. You are a joke, and the league is in its worst shape it's been in years, thanks to your poor management and ideas. Money hungry alien. Wow. Now this person was really pissed. Rex. Another one. The N in NBA stands for national, so bringing in international teams makes this the dumbest proposal. Stop fucking up the league because of greed. Look, nobody likes this, bro. You could just go all the way down in the comments of this section. Absolutely, no one wants this. Stop ruining our league. He needs to focus on getting the games available to the fans. Don't worry, nobody want this. Someone fire Silver before this dumb idea is burned down the league. Dude can't even get All-Star Weekend right and wants to expand the international games. Bro, stop worrying about fucking Europe and bring the Supersonics back. Oh, man. The next good idea Adam Silver has about the NBA will be his first. Can't wait to watch the highlights of the Clippers versus South Wales. Oh my god. Oh shit, man. Shanghai Sharks versus Chicago Bulls in the play-in. Nobody's asking for this. What the fuck does Alien Silver keeps trying to bring European play and teams into the American-made sport? He has already the competitiveness of the game, and we know how terrible the All-Star game is now. Yeah, I mean, look, nobody wants this. Nobody. Nobody wants this, bro. Nobody. Look, I don't know. Look, it's social media, of course, so that's only a small percentage, but these are the people that drive the NBA conversation on NBA Twitter, right? These are the people that drive the culture. I don't know, man. I think this is gonna be everybody's just roasting. We not subscribing to this BS. Oh man, you got the Martin clip. Let's play it.
Man, sit your dumb ass down and shut.
NBA Finals. Oh my god. Wow. Bro sabotaging his own league. First by saying NBA is a highlight only sport, and now this. Wow. Oh my god. Dude. Is this Intel? Dude, I mean, I'm going all the way down on this, and nobody wants this. Nobody wants this, bro. The NBA they got to rethink this. Adam Silver, you better rethink this move. And this is not some regular, this is an NBA account that posted this. This guy has almost 1 million followers, so he has a large basketball following. Who, the person that runs this page posted this news, and the reactions across the board seem to be not good for the NBA. Not good at all. I don't know. I think that they're going to do it regardless, right? We know that, because they're not going to miss a chance to make money. And we know that for the most part, like, all seriousness, the fans are upset about this now, but they're still going to watch the games. They're going to figure it out. That's what the NBA's thinking. Like, the fans are going to show up. They're still going to watch. They're still going to illegally stream it. They're still going to figure out a way to get the games. And we're going to get a whole new media audience. We're going to have the games in like 100 languages. that's what we're going to do. And if they don't like it, too bad. Because they figure that they need to get out, they need to expand immediately. They're desperate right now. Like I said, in a couple years, NBA players are going to, in a few years, I would say about 5 years from now, there's going to be an NBA player making $100 million a year. A salary cap, they're going to be making $100 million a year. And it's going to be a lot of bad basketball too. You're going to have a guy playing on a 20-win team making $100 million a year. And he's going to check out by fucking January when the team is out of playoff contention. Because they're going to have to do something, because by January, right? Think about this. Half the NBA teams by January are going to be out of playoff contention. So they're going to need to do something about that. And I think this solution is going to be, they're going to have some type of second tournament, maybe involving the international teams, the European teams, as a way of having some type of title tournament type cup for these teams. Because could the NBA really survive paying multiple players, right? That's paying, like, look at the worst teams in the league this year. Go down their roster, look at who the players are, guys who were on teams that did not make the playoffs, and look at the salaries of some of those players. Some of those guys were making $30+ million a year, and they're out the playoffs by January, out of the playoff hunt. So that means that's a lot of basketball that's going to be dead basketball, guys making shit tons of money. So think about that 5, 6, 7 years from now, where you got a team that is like a 15-win team, and those guys are out of the playoff hunt by fucking December, by Christmas, or probably not by Christmas, by like February, or right by the All-Star break. They're out the playoffs, but there's guys on the team making $80 million a year, and then they're not playing that hard because they're like, shit, we're not making the playoffs. What are we playing for? You get what I'm saying? So, and that could be a problem for an NBA team, because if you give the wrong guy $80 million, you're fucked. You're gonna be fucked. So, I think the only way the NBA could make this work is if they do something like at the end of the year where they have these teams, these international teams, like I don't know, he's talking about 4 teams in Europe. Maybe if you had those 4 teams versus the 4 bottom teams that didn't make the playoffs in the NBA, and have them play in some type of tournament so they can at least play for something, or so it's like an incentive. Okay, we make the playoffs, we don't have to go play in fucking Europe for the summer. We can play our playoffs here and play for NBA title. Or if we don't make the playoffs, we got to go play in Europe for the playoffs against the other teams for a chance to win a European title or international title. I don't know how they would view that. I'm just spitballing. Obviously, I have no idea what I'm talking about here. But it could work and it could not work. But something's going to happen because, like I said, the NBA market, the teams, they want more money. They want to make more money. And they're trying to justify it. You ain't gonna be able to justify it. Like I said, you're not gonna be able to justify playing for the Charlotte Hornets. The guy on the Hornets making $90 million a year, and the team is winning like 20 games, and you got 3 guys making $60, $70, $80 million a year in 2035, when the cap is crazy, because the cap keep going up. You can't justify that. And ticket sales are crazy. Imagine you going to Charlotte Hornets game. Because if guys are making $75, $80 million a year, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to raise ticket prices. You really think the Charlotte Hornets is going to fill a building if a team can't make the playoffs? Not gonna happen. That's gonna be a lot of teams around the league, not just Charlotte. I know I'm picking on Charlotte here, but you're gonna see multiple teams like that. So some teams will survive, right? The Knicks always survive because it's the Knicks, teams like that. But the Nets are gonna have a problem because they're in a big market and they're gonna have to justify the high costs, even though the team may not be as good. If they're not good, I'm not saying they will or will not be, but the Knicks are a long time brand. They can get away with it. They can get away with the ticket prices because they're the Knicks. The Nets can't. The Lakers could. The Clippers can't. You know what I'm saying? But they'll do it anyway, and then they'll wonder why their buildings are not full. So we'll see. I don't know. But this idea right now, it just doesn't seem like it's well thought out from the commissioner. And I don't think they care. I just don't think they give a shit what we think about this. They're going to do it anyway. But let me know what you think about this. You like the idea? Because so far, I haven't seen not one person that likes this idea. Now, I'm pretty sure there are people out there who do like it. Right? There are people out there that might be excited about the chance to waking up at 4 in the morning and watching an NBA game. Maybe so. But we just haven't seen them yet. Let me know what you think in the comments. Sports page run by sports fans. Peace.